Hello, party people, it's Sarah Rose. And as you know, if you clicked on this video today, I set up my new travel palette with the Renz tube watercolor paints that I recently reviewed. Now, I have previously set up a palette using these paints, but as you can see, it's way too big for me to easily slip into any bag of mine. Also, I don't really like the plastic this palette's made of. However, if you are interested in this palette or anything else in this video, it'll be linked down below. The travel palette I ended up getting is a Hanbei 12 half pan travel color set. The pan arrives in a little baggie that says Hanbei on it. The tin is bubble wrapped and the pans are not snapped into the palette. The tin is not embossed or labeled with Hanbei. You can find this kind of metal tin anywhere. There are many different companies that sell basically the exact same palette on Amazon where I purchased mine. I have 24 colors to choose from here, so as you might imagine, I had a hard time deciding what colors to put into this palette. With the selection I had to choose from, I couldn't decide whether to include purple, but then again I could just mix it myself. Oh, but which blue is best for making purple? Which red would work with that blue? I contemplated which colors to use for a while. Last week, I asked you all which colors you thought were best to include. Guadalupe Venegas said, "For travel palette colors, a cool and warm version of each primary color is needed. After that, it should be mostly earthy tones." Smiley face. I decided to swatch my primary colors and then play around with earth tones and colors I just wanted to include in my new palette. After much deliberation, I decided on yellow ochre, lemon yellow, crimson, brilliant red, ultramarine, phthalo blue, viridian, sap green, peach, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and Payne's gray. I was struggling with what was the best way to film this part, but I decided close-up would be cool so that you guys could see what was happening. It is the nature of the paint for there to be many differences in consistency between color. That being said, these paints all came out very smooth and it was actually very satisfying to fill up each half pan. I let the paints dry for about 3 days. As you can see, they have become quite cracked, but they are still pretty tacky. They do dry down enough to include in a travel palette, of course. However, I'm not certain that these would actually ever dry like rock hard cakes, especially if you use them pretty often. I'm pretty sure they will stay soft. In this palette, the half pans are held down with these metal prongs. I found that the best way to keep the paints from sliding around is to bend the metal pretty far forward and then snap the pans in. I'm used to plastic pans, so I was a little bit afraid that these pans would slide around too much, but if you secure them enough, they will move around very minimally. I do like the idea of being able to move the colors around and swap in new pans if I feel like it. So, look forward to that in the future. I'll probably get more half pans and just fill them up with like the rest of the paints that are in my tube set. Before I get into the speed painting, I wanted to show you all just how little this palette is. It's about the same size as the Winsor Newton Cotman Pocket Box, a little thicker, a little shorter, and it has a lot more mixing room. You can even lift up the area where the paints are held in if you need extra mixing room. However, well, I keep saying however, but the little hinge that you're meant to use to hold it if you're, if you're just holding your paints, are located there, and I think the liquid would drip through the holes, so I'm not sure if I would actually ever do that, but it's there. Alrighty, this crazy boy's all filled up and ready to be used. For today's sketch, I actually decided to do a study of each color group that I have in this little baby palette. I used, I started with the yellows, then the reds, then the greens, then peach and burnt sienna, and lastly the blues, which I included Payne's gray with. One of my goals this summer is to become a master watercolorist. Now, I say that as a partial joke, as I really do want to get better at mixing paints and creating interesting compositions. Watercolor is a medium that you can pretty much do anything with, and I really want to explore the possibilities that can be achieved with this paint. I thought the monochromatic light color themes I did would help me build up the faces and not rely so much on the underdrawings for depth. I have a ways to go, but I am happy to be sharing this learning experience here on YouTube. If you're learning watercolor or looking for pointers, feel free to leave comments, ask questions, share pointers, and look at the supplies I'm using right now. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe and consider supporting me on Patreon so I can bring even better content to this channel. Everything is listed in the description box along with my social media, Pinterest, and past reviews I've done on this channel. See you all next week. Bye!